When we get to the point that we're getting ready to put together our repair addendum, which is the document that we're going to send over to the sellers with the request of what we would like for them to do or to give a credit for. So we're going to have all these pieces of information. We're going to have the inspection report. We're going to have the reports from the sewer scope and the underground, oil tank sweep and the radon test, and we're going to have any bids that we got for, different items that might have come up. So we need to look at these things, and right now, because we are in a seller's market and we're generally dealing with pretty competitive properties, we need to be very judicious and reasonable about what we're going to ask the seller to do. You can't just do a blanket list of like, oh, here's the inspection report and we want everything on the inspection report fixed. That is not a reasonable thing to ask for, because you're buying a house that's not brand new, and there are going to be some issues that you're probably going to have to take care of. And even though you've gone into it maybe thinking, oh, I've got all these cosmetic items that I'm okay with doing, you're probably going to have to take on a few of the deferred maintenance items as well. So we want to look at the list, and first thing is safety items. We want to make sure that the house is going to be safe for you to live in, and that you're going to feel secure in your new home. So we're going to look at those items. Look at the things that we are concerned that an appraiser might call out. We'll want to look at those, and clearly the big ticket items. If there's a failed sewer, we're definitely going to want to ask for that. If the roof has come back with a bad roof that's definitely needs to be fixed before the appraiser comes out, then we are definitely going to want to ask for that. DEQ requires that the sellers resolve any oil tank issues, so we'll clearly be asking for that to be taken care of too. If you're starting to look at, depending on the price of the house, kind of a ballpark figure of like when you start talking numbers that you want to ask for, you're probably not going to want to ask for much more than $5,000 to $8,000 in repairs, just as a general ballpark, especially for a house that's under $400,000 ish, because you're starting to look at the net cost of what that is going to be to the seller. And in this competitive market, they might be likely to go, we've got a backup offer, and they really want this house, and they've told us that they're not going to ask for any repairs. So you've really got to think about that when you're putting together this repair addendum. So say recently I had a property, and we had items that came up that were, a couple of electrical things that needed to be fixed, some dry rot issues, a chimney, the sewer needs to be repaired, and an oil tank issue. So we sat down and went through the list of items and came up with what we felt were the main things that were important to the house. So clearly the oil tank and the sewer we asked to be repaired, and then we asked for the chimney because the chimney came back as that it was too short and that it could be a fire hazard because the sparks could fly out of the chimney. And we did have to work on convincing the sellers to do the chimney repair. So we went back and forth, and finally we were like, no, we really feel like this is important. We've got all these other items that we're not asking you for, and they finally succumbed and agreed to do the chimney repair. So sometimes it just takes some asking. One of the other ways that you can do it too is to ask for a credit. So as opposed to getting the repair done, you can say, if you don't want to do the repair, that's fine, but how about if you credit us for, this amount that we got the bid for having it repaired, and we'll take care of it ourselves afterwards. And sometimes some people, especially out of state sellers, are probably more likely to be like, we just want to give you a credit. We'll give you a credit for everything, and you just have it done, and that way we don't have to worry about it and move on. In a buyer's market, you can ask for a little bit more. You still probably don't want to ask for everything, but you want to get the main items that that really need to be addressing. Generally, an inspector is gonna, anything he thinks needs to be addressed is gonna be in red on his report. And so a lot of times in a buyer's market, we'll ask for all of the quote red items that have been indicated. There generally will be some maintaining issues that will come up that the inspector will call out that they usually are in either blue or green. And that probably more so we would be, I would suggest to the buyers that those might be items that they would just take on themselves if necessary. But anything that needs to be taken care of immediately that has not been addressed clearly for a while by the sellers or whatever. And a lot of times it's not like the sellers are trying to hide these issues from the buyers at all. These are things that the seller, I'm sure, is not aware of. They haven't had an inspection done on their house. Most people do not get inspections done on their house before they put them on the market. Occasionally that happens, but it's rare. So a lot of times the sellers just don't even know what's wrong with their house because they haven't had any issues with it. And if you don't have any issues with it, you're not going to be looking for things to fix.